Hello and welcome to another episode of Las Platicas here on our new YouTube channel. And who do we have in studio today, Kristen?
Well, Sarah, I just want to remind everyone that Las Platicas is a show hosted by Comadres y Comics Podcast, where we meet with creators and friends to talk about upcoming projects, events, and all around awesome news in the Latinx comic community. And joining us today is Ryan Taverez. My grandmother would be upset that I pronounced it like Tavarez, right? Tavarez. By day, Ryan is a concept development artist in the garment design industry. He's provided art for clients such as Supreme, Nike, Champion, the NFL, and New Era. But by night, he is a comic book artist, self-taught in penciling, inking, coloring, and lettering. Ryan is a one-man show. He's the lead artist on Motor City Mo by Three Wise Media and has been making comics for 10 years with his self-published studio Attack of the Rivals. Ryan currently has a Kickstarter campaign running to publish a trade paperback of his series Nomads and is here today to tell us all about it. So welcome, Ryan, to Comadres y Comics Las Platicas. Yay.
Thank you so much for
Welcome.
having me. Thank you. That was awesome.
So, right, before we
I think
get
I'm
started,
blushing.
before we get started, I just want to mention that we are having some technical difficulties with Jen's internet, so she might be coming in and out or having a little bit of staticky audio, but it's what you got to do in these days and ages of COVID and Zoom meetings and stuff like that. So we're just gonna power on through. So we'll go ahead and get started. And as we mentioned in the intro, Ryan, you've been making comics, quote unquote, on the side for 10 years. So can you tell us a little bit about how you began your journey into the comic book world?
Yeah, so starting from 10 years ago, I had just dropped out of art school. The recession was going on. I couldn't necessarily finish college, and so I was just kind of working a regular day job, and I ended up running into an old friend of mine from high school, who we used to write stories and put stuff together all the time just as kids, and we met up and kind of just hit it off and started meeting up almost every night and just kind of getting back into the groove of things and sharing books. And pretty soon we had a bunch of other friends who were joining in, and we would meet at like 24-hour diners, and we just go from basically once everyone got off work all the way till sunrise, and then we just keep going.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And
Wow.
it was a period of exploration. So making a lot of pages, just trying to learn how to make pages and build up the ability to finish short stories and comics, and learning a lot of the foundations of storytelling. And some of us went off into writing, and some of us got more into the art, and then some people fell off and went away. And but throughout that time, we just made a bunch of stuff, some of it that went online as like web comics, some of it that had just never see the light of day. And then, and as time went on, I just kind of went off into a different career path. So I started working in IT and just trying to make money and just get by. And all the while, just trying to teach myself how to use everything, use Photoshop to color, and how to get my drawings in, because that was like, at the time, it wasn't as accessible. Like, we didn't have smartphones to take it. It was just starting to take off, but I didn't have a smartphone or anything, so I couldn't like take photos. I had to save up and get a scanner and get the equipment to even be able to put my stuff online. And about 5 years in was when I basically sat down, said, I'm gonna make a book. I'm gonna print it. I'm gonna get it printed from a printer. I'm not just gonna print it off of an inkjet. And I'm gonna go do a show. I'm gonna do a convention, and I'm just gonna get out there. And so I put together a little ash can, a little colored short called Nomads. and that was Nomads 0. It was the 0 issue.
Oh, okay.
Which is the intro to the
Yes.
book that I'm kickstarting.
Uh-huh.
And from the first show, I started to meet people and make connections, and just one thing led to another, and I started getting commissions and small gigs, and 5 more years have passed, and I'm now in graphic design and putting books out, and it's just been one thing after another, kind of like a snowball effect.
Well, that's pretty cool. I mean, the whole self-taught thing is like really amazing to me. I self-taught myself to do stick figures, and that's pretty much the extent to where I go. But I have to say, you did send us the first 3 issues, and I read them all in preparation for this interview, and your art is freaking amazing. I really enjoyed it a lot. And I was just telling Sarah before we started, I was like, what's this about? Nomads, okay, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I have to read it. She set this interview up. I have to read it. I really liked it a lot. And the art was awesome. And it really, I don't know if you're, I was telling Sarah too, I don't know if you are familiar with Headlopper, but it reminds me of Headlopper. I love Headlopper, but
I love Andrew McLean. His work is
the whole just like journey and all that. I just love it. So I cannot wait to read more. So I love hearing your origin story, but I even love it more that it's led into what we got to see and what you're kickstarting. So that's great.
Yeah.
I know that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go for it.
No, go ahead. Actually, I was just gonna. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
That's okay.
So, Ryan, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say that talking about the whole idea of a journey, and that's kind of a lot about like what Nomads is about.
Yeah.
And it's reflection of my own creative journey, and even like there was a point in time where I was doing 1 issue a year, and so there's some pretty drastic jumps throughout the book.
Yeah.
But and I feel like it just reflects that journey. That's all I was gonna say.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's usually about like the time frame that issues get released by any indie creator. So you're kind of in the right path there. I know some of us are like, God, when is that next issue
the
come out?
course.
Yeah, it's basically it's pretty average that self-publishing creators, indie creators release issues about a year between. So don't feel so bad. You currently have a Kickstarter campaign for your graphic novel, Nomads. Please share with our listeners, our viewers, about the story and the characters and the plot development.
Okay, so just to kind of frame it, I always kind of pitch it as Terminator meets Conan the Barbarian meets Mad Max. And so it's a whole lot of different things, a lot of stuff that I love, and just kind of combining that setting. And a lot of it comes from getting kind of tired of post-apocalyptic work, but still being very interested in that idea. And so rather than taking this approach where we're clinging on to what's left of humanity, I kind of wanted to go in a more naturalistic direction and move away from the dreary, dark colors, the dread, and really kind of embrace a lot of color,
sepia overtones.
Yeah. And so Nomads follows the story of a character named Hawk, and he is traversing through this world that is thousands of years after our time. And so mankind is no longer at its pinnacle, and the world has reverted back to nature, to a primal state. And in this world, humans survive in small bands of nomadic tribes, and depending on the region and where they live, they may be secluded or cut off from others. They may have adopted certain just different cultures and just evolved and grown and kind of it's kind of exploring that idea of like, where could people go from here if they were to continue on. And so Hawk is searching for his tribe. It's all that he has. And after a hunt gone wrong, his tribe and his home disappears with nothing left but tracks. So Hawk, being a good hunter and familiar with this sort of thing, he follows these tracks, and which lead him out of the jungle for the first time and into this area known as the Badlands, which he's been warned never to go to. So he's venturing out of the Shire and seeing this world for the first time with the rest of us. And along the way, he encounters other people who have found a way to survive in this primal world, and makes enemies, makes friends, and also has to compete with the various animals of the land.
I really kind of like this whole hero's journey that you have set up for him. I kind of like stories like that are super like fantasy based, that you have your hero and he's going off like on a quest and stuff like that. It's very you're following a very kind of grand setup for a big myth, kind of like for this ancient time that takes place like thousands of years after humanity. So we're following Hawk on his quest to find his missing clan. What were some of the main themes and ideas you wanted to impart to the readers of the Nomad? Because you have almost this very almost myth-esque a style of writing. So I kind of want to know what it is that you're trying to impart to the reader.
So I think the first thing is, at least for me, it's like the importance of family and what you're willing to do, to find that family. And it's also about the different people who become your family. So one of the big relationships that I focus on throughout this story is the relationship between Hawk and Boar, and their differences and how they come together, and that brotherhood, or partnership, whatever you want to call it. It's these two people coming from different tribes who have to work together to survive. And so in the first book especially, this is the theme. This is like what it's all about, and it's a reflection of my own journey through life, and just my friends and family, and exploring this world that seems like cruel and often barbaric.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I really liked the relationship and the development of the relationship between Hawk and Boar, and reminded me a little bit about like Headlopper with the witch's head that he carries around with him the whole time, and they hate each other at first, but then they start to kind of depend on each other and miss each other when they're not around. So I'm really interested to see where that goes. So this is your very first Kickstarter ever. Congratulations. That's a huge feat. Can you tell our listeners about this campaign and what are some of the rewards that a backer can actually earn by supporting this campaign?
Absolutely. So the first thing I want to say is thank you to everyone who has already contributed. We funded on the first day within 3 hours, and I just think that's
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's pretty good.
just totally blown away, and just thankful for that. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who has contributed, and people who are still considering to contribute. We still have a little over 30 days at this point in time. And so, looking forward to where that goes. I wanted to make a lot of the backer rewards something that like I could make or have a part in making. So the first things that I really wanted to do was have a screen printed poster that I'm going to hand pull. I have the design that's already posted up there, that it'll be numbered and signed by me. I have shirts on there that I'm going to be assembling myself. So I'm going to be heat pressing those and putting those together and numbering them. And another tier that I have is a personalized sketch commission. So, your very own 9x12 drawing of, pretty much whatever you want, or a character from Nomads. And so like those are kind of like the bread and butter. Those are the main ones. There's, you know, there's a print tier where you can get mini prints that are fun. And then of course the main attraction is the book. So for 25, you can get the book. We're looking at 120 pages.
Okay.
You know,
Oh,
120, 124
Nice.
pages, and it's going to collect pretty much everything up to, you know, where I'm at now. I'm working on wrapping up the finale, and you know, there'll be extras in there, sketches, what the characters looked like, you know, almost 10 years ago when I first started drawing them to where they are now. I am doing a series of homage covers.
Oh,
So
nice.
taking
Oh, cool.
classic comic book covers and drawing my characters into them.
Okay, so is there the X-Men Wanted poster
That's a good
gonna
one.
be there? I see that everywhere in homage
Yeah.
covers.
Yeah, one of the ones that I did was actually, it was Wolverine #2. It's a cover by Frank Miller.
Oh yeah,
It's like
I know which
Wolverine
one.
diving.
Not issue #1 with him.
No, that one's been done a lot. So
Yeah.
I just kind of took it and shifted it. I really like the second issue cover. So these are covers that I in particular am fond of. You know, paying homage to different creators who influenced me when I was reading comics and growing up, and when I wanted, you know, when I was starting to want to learn, like, what was I reading? So it's going to be a lot of that stuff. But yeah, so I'm excited for the book, excited to get it all put together. And some other stuff that you can get, I wanted to kind of keep it simple. So, you know, you can pick which tier you want, or you can do the super fan tier and just get one of everything.
Ooh, nice.
Mhm.
And then something I think that is probably unique is I have a tier on there, and this is for the art collectors, for people who they want to own a piece of the book. So I have tiers on there where you can get original pages from the book, you know,
Oh, wow.
pencils or inks.
Yeah.
And I'll also be raffling off 5 of those pieces to backers of any physical tier.
Oh,
Wow,
nice.
that's
Oh, wow.
awesome.
That's pretty good.
That is kind of cool.
That's
Um,
really cool.
Yeah, exactly. And so anybody that contributes to your Kickstarter is eligible to be in this raffle to win an original piece.
Yeah, anyone who backs a physical tier. So anyone who gets the original book and up, you know, unfortunately for digital, like shipping isn't included for that, so it's kind of difficult to work that out. But
That's still excellent though. That's really awesome. Like I know now that I could participate in the raffle to get original art. That's awesome.
And I always ask, is there a retailer backing level at all?
yep. There's a bundle of 5 for shops if they're
Okay.
interested, and that's at a retail discount. So you know, they're not paying full price per issue because they're buying it in bulk.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
That's
Nice.
pretty cool.
That's pretty awesome. What advice would you give other creators that are interested in self-publishing their own comic?
So the big one, at least for me, the thing that I found most valuable just trying to grow and get better was working my way up to the big epic. So start small, do shorts, do one-offs, do, you know, gag strips, just get your skills down so you don't tire out, so you don't fatigue. You see sometimes young creators, like, they're very ambitious, and like myself, they're very like fired up, and they want to make this big epic story that they see, you know, they read the books, they watch the movies, they want to make this big 100-volume story, but they're just not, they don't have the stamina to complete it, so they'll peter out, or they'll get tired, or they'll abandon it, or something will come up. And so I would advocate for people to practice, to really try to hone your skills, and then work on your baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, then do the story that you hold dearest, and so that way you can give it your all and put your best into it.
Awesome. That's great
Okay.
advice.
Yeah. So, what is the best way for our listeners to find your project on Kickstarter, and when does it end specifically?
So the best way to find my Kickstarter is by searching for Nomads Volume 1, and it should pop up almost immediately. Or you can find it. I have a link on my Instagram. I have a link on my website, tavarezart.com. I'm on Instagram as Tavarez Art. So any of those ways, it should be super easy to get to it.
Awesome. So I know we're here to talk about Nomads, and I know you have a Kickstarter, and it's really awesome, and I really recommend you guys backing it. But I noticed you have quite a few projects that you've worked on over the years on your website. Can you tell us a little bit about maybe a couple of those? And are they available to purchase? Are they webcomics? Like, well, what are some other things that you've worked on?
Sure. So one of the larger projects that is available that you can find is Motor City Mo. And that's a crime, noir, romance, kind of adult comic, a little more mature subject matter. But you can find that at threewisemedia.com. And we are currently in production on the 4th book out of 5. So
wow.
Oh, wow.
They're actually one of my oldest partners who I joined up with. I met them at the first con I did in February 2016, and we've just been cruising along ever since, putting out a book a year with them. Really excited about it, really excited where the story's going. A lot of passion went into that. I have a horror anthology that me and a couple of friends and I put together ourselves and put out called Tales of Death and Destiny. That one's fun. That's some of the stuff where we were jamming, putting stuff together, and we just said, you know what, let's put these all in one book and let's print it up. Kind of reminiscent of Tales from the Crypt.
Ooh, awesome. I like that.
Love it.
Yeah. I definitely want to do more of those. Unfortunately, but I'm doing a Kickstarter right now. So potentially next year, we're going to be doing a new Tales of Death and Destiny that'll be, bigger, and better and ready to go for Halloween next year.
That's great.
There's another series on there that I posted on my website called Home. And so kind of like what I said, when I'm all over the place in my reading, I'm also all over the place in my art. So I do a wide variety of things that range from mature to kind of more kid friendly. There's a series on there called Home that I have co-written with my partner Savannah, and that one is all traditional. So it's traditional watercolor, and it's a story about a young girl named Lucy Bell, who is on a journey to kind of figure out what it means to have a home, and what it means to like where you come from, and how that makes you who you are. And that's a series that takes a little bit longer because it's all traditional. And but I would really appreciate if people took the time to go look at it. It's a labor of love. We put a lot of time into it. It's fun. It's kind of like Wizard of Oz meets like Spirited Away.
I have to say, that's the one that caught my eye. Just in looking over all the things that you had up on your website, that one, its style, its colors, it's just aesthetic all around caught my eye. And I was like, I want to come back and read this.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's definitely something that I'm working on, that I want to continue to work on, that there's going to be more of, but it's got to fit in the schedule.
Yeah.
and is that one available only online?
Yes, currently you can only read that online. I kind of like, so part of the reason why I'm doing this Kickstarter is to put Nomads into one book, and I'm going to be moving more towards releasing trades, thicker stories to for people to read in print versus printing up serials or floppies, and just so that that it's easier to kind of maintain, and that people can get more of the story at once rather than like piecemealing it all together.
Absolutely.
So for Home, I would really like to do a trade of that.
Well, I'd love to hear about it once you've got that started.
Is that story? You said you wanted to continue working on it. So, is it at an end now on the online, or is it like at a place where it could definitely keep going?
Oh, it's at a place where it's gonna keep going.
Okay.
Yeah, Lucy's just starting her journey in the spirit world, and they have her and her sidekick Asiago, who's the samurai frog, they have a lot of adventures ahead of them. So.
Oh, that's awesome. So do you have
Yeah.
any other projects that you have up online, or any other projects that you have up here that you are going to be working on after your successful Kickstarter ends?
There's always projects. There's a lot of them. The other thing that I've been kind of doing is jumping in on some anthologies. So,
Oh, yes.
doing some shorts here and there. And what's cool about that is you can do, a couple of pages and it's not a huge drag out, and you get stuck on a project for years. I have one that is with a group called the Comicers Union, and we're doing an anthology called Artery. And so the whole theme with that is that each story is themed around an artist tool or supplies. So in that book, the story that I did is called Ink, and and it's kind of this like Hanna-Barbera throwback to this bounty hunter and this fugitive.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. So and there's a wide variety of stories in there. There's like scissors and paper and all the stuff that you can think of. I think there's like 15 of us on that book. So that's
wow.
a lot of fun.
Is there anyone doing an eraser?
Oh yeah, there's definitely an eraser. That's actually a good one. It's kind of, I don't want to reveal too much about it, but it's good.
Awesome.
Eraser or CTRL Z?
Yeah. That's funny. Well, Ryan, you've given us so much awesome information about your current Kickstarter, but also about the projects that you have up on your website. Can you just one more time share with our listeners where they can follow your projects, future projects, your website, any social media? I want to make sure that we get more eyes on all of your stuff and get more people backing your Kickstarter, because seriously, you're just so super freaking talented. And I want to be able to get your stuff out in front of people's eyes. So give us all the deets on where we can find you and all of your amazing stories.
Okay, so the most active place, the best spot to see art is on my Instagram at Tavarez Art. I post on there frequently, sometimes 3 times a day. Sometimes it's sketches, process from Nomads, new stuff I'm working on. I love interacting with people on there. So, follow me on there. Ask me questions. I love answering questions from people. I love just sharing information and jamming on stuff on there. That's the best place to find me. My website is tavarezart.com. And you can see my personal works on there. There's also just some single one-off illustrations that I've done that are on there. I have like a series of luchadors. That's a lot of fun.
I love that. I saw that. That was awesome.
And there may be some luchador stuff coming in the future. Wink, wink.
You got it here, Cheeseman.
And you can also find our Attack of the Rivals page on Facebook. And you can find that, just search for Attack of the Rivals or Unrivaled Comics.
Okay, awesome.
That is so great. Thank you so much for being on our show and on our newly YouTube channel to interview with us via Zoom. Thank you so much. It was great to hear about all your projects. And if ever you have another project going on, please do let us know. We're a fan of your work. Thank you so much for being on our show. And that concludes this episode of Las Platicas. We have been your hosts. I'm Sarah.
I'm Kristen.
And I'm Jen.
And I'm Ryan.
And Ryan, you're supposed to say
like, subscribe, and share.
That's
Thank
it.
you. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.